Hi, everyone. Welcome to John's Briefs again with Tim Forshee from Forshee Law, the guy you should get your NFA trust from. If you're in Phoenix, you should get your CCW. If you're going to get it from Tim.
Thanks, buddy.
He teaches an actual good class. There's so many crappy ones. His is good. That you would agree with me. There's a lot of bad ones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to trumpet myself, but I've taken about 30 different CCW classes, and some of the instructors are just abysmal. Yeah,
so bad. We recently had one on the channel of a police officer shooting a guy, and I said, this is not justified. And I got pilloried a little bit. Some people took umbrage with my analysis, so let's ask the attorney.
To win the fight after the fight, you need help. After a use of force, I trust Firearms Legal Protection to help me win the fight for the rest of my life. From their 24/7 attorney-answered hotline to coverage for the use of all legal tools, Firearms Legal Protection has you covered. Get a discount by signing up at the link below.
Back off of me. 212, start me, emergency cover. Get back, I'm gonna fucking shoot you, dude. Get back. Get off me, man. What are you doing? Come on. You're not in trouble. What? You're not in trouble. You're not in trouble, man. Step it up, step it up. Hey, man, help me! Fucking politician. Huh? Get back. Get back. Get on the ground. Get on the ground now. Get on the ground. I'm gonna shoot you if you do not get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground now! Stop! Get back! I am gonna fucking shoot you, dude! Back up! Get down! 212 shots fired.
Unfortunately, this man did not survive being shot by the officer. This one is relatively new, and their internal affairs investigation, the investigation is still ongoing. As of the day of recording of this video, I do not have any indication that any charges have been filed. You've watched it now, and I will say this, I didn't say, hey, Tim, come to my defense. I said, Tim, here's my analysis of this issue. Let's talk about it on camera, okay? I think it's sad.
The video is really sad. There's something about this one that just makes you sad. It's just like this guy, you can tell this guy's going through some sort of tragic event, or he's got serious mental illness, or he's wiped out on some drug or something.
High as a kite on something.
Yeah, so, and it was just like, it was like putting a dog out of his misery or something. It was just sad, yeah.
Well, and he's, grappled with the officer. Yeah. So the general gist of if somebody really disagrees with me is, well, John, the officer tried fists, he tried his baton, he tried his taser, nothing else worked. What do you want him to do? And my answer to that is just because these other tools didn't work is not justification for the use of deadly force. It's not. You have to have an objective, reasonable evidence for a threat of death or great bodily injury to the officer at the moment he shot, or another member of the public, Tennessee versus Garner. And I just don't see it.
I guess right before the guy shot him, the guy did charge him again, right? He was coming at him again, right? So I would say probably legally justified, okay? Morally, ethically, I have real qualms about it. I talked to you earlier about, as a parent, you try not to say no unless you're sure you're right and you're willing to stand by it. And to me, it was like, there's a guy barefoot wandering around a hot parking lot, punching cars and stuff. Okay, wait for backup. Make sure that he can't harm somebody. Get 3 people there, circle him, take him down calmly, handcuff him, and let's get him some help. What you said no. You drew a battle line. You know, do this, do that. And the guy says no. Now you got to press it, right? Did you need to do that? Was he harming anybody? Did he have a weapon? I mean, how about if you just stand back, let him stand on the hot parking lot for a while, wait for backup to show up in 5 minutes, and then you take him into custody?
Well, especially if
now,
you know.
That's hindsight, right? I mean, that's after everything's over that I can say that.
Well, and as a cop, not every cop is highly trained in empty-handed skills.
Right.
They get a basic training at the academy.
Right.
Very occasional crappy refreshers, but they're not kung fu masters. But if you know you're not, then you get dispatched to this call. You're like, oh, this is a combative guy. I need some more dudes
Right.
here. I need some more flesh. I need a polyester pileup.
Yep.
Then wait for that.
Right. And I would say that's this guy wasn't a fighter.
He wasn't.
Right. If he had been a fighter, it would have been a very short video, right?
Sure.
He wasn't a fighter. If I know I'm not a fighter, then I'm not going to get in fights. Right.
then I
Only
gotta
as a
avoid
last
fights.
resort. And that didn't happen here. This almost smacked of suicide by cop to me.
Yeah, or it just, again, delirium with agitation here that I see for sure. This guy is out of his mind and agitated and being weird and creepy in the weird, creepy, bad way, right? And I don't want to say that the officer is a terrible human. I just think, again, if you go, oh, okay, I tried the baton didn't work. I tried to punch him. I'm not good enough with my hands. I try my taser, the taser fails. This guy's still coming at me. What do I do? Well, that's not justification for the use of deadly force. Now, I agree with you. Okay, so in Arizona, for instance, right? Any assault on a law enforcement officer is an aggravated assault. Statutorily in Arizona. You can resist an aggravated assault with deadly force.
Right.
So we've had another one on the channel out of Arizona that a guy swung a fist at cop several times. A cop pulled his gun and shot him. I said, he's not going to face criminal charges. He can't. It's an assault on a law enforcement officer, but he should be fired. That this is morally repugnant, even if it's legal, because he wasn't facing a threat of death, but he's a protected person. And because he's a protected person, he won't be charged in that case. And I think maybe that's going to be the case here.
Yeah, I mean, even when the guy charges me, I mean, he was charging from, and you can never tell distance on these videos very well, but I would say, let's say it was 10 yards away.
Something.
Right? So I've got a 10-yard head start. The guy's barefoot, probably having some mental health issues, right? Or however you want to describe that, whether it's chemically induced or whatever. Maybe I just run. Maybe I put a car between me and him and play Ring Around the Rosie until he gets tired. I mean, do I need to shoot this guy? Do I have any other options to shoot this guy? I think you do.
Yeah, and barefoot guy versus cop in boots and 40 pounds of gear.
Yeah.
So is the cop going to be able to outrun him? I don't know. I think the overall lesson here is if you're going to be a law enforcement officer, you need to be able to fight.
Yeah.
Now, you need to be able to disengage. You need to be able to de-escalate. You need to be able to do all those things.
Probably more importantly, but you better be able to fight.
But you need to be able to fight.
And the thing is, the hard thing is though, is that imagine if you're the person in charge of hiring for a large department.
Sure.
Not to get all, old fogey, boomer on this thing, but when I was a kid, you got in fights. I mean, there was a fight on the playground. Nobody was going to get hurt bad, but you knew how to tuck a punch. You threw a punch. Everybody played football. I mean, we all grew up on farms throwing bales of hay around, and you wrestled with animals and stuff, and it was sort of uncommon to bump into too many people that weren't kind of cut from that cloth, right? Mm-hmm. Nowadays, I mean, I've got really nice young men that are dating my daughters that don't know how to change a tire. You don't see people who get into fights anymore. If you ask the average 22-year-old, have you ever been punched in the face? The answer is going to be, of course not.
No.
And so, I mean, if I'm trying to hire 23-year-old cops, it's going to be tough to get fighters.
Yeah. Well, but I do know plenty of departments now. I have a friend on San Diego PD. San Diego PD just started offering jiu-jitsu as part of their workday.
Great. So they get paid to take the lessons.
They get paid to
Maybe they'll do it
and it's
then, yeah.
department sponsored.
That's great.
It's not belted. They don't do belting ceremonies or anything like that, but it's run by really good dudes and come in for an hour on the clock. Yeah. I don't know how many times a week. I think up to 3 times a week or something they're allowed to do that, which is awesome. Yeah. I know several other departments that will reimburse an officer up to $150 a month for a martial arts membership.
And that'll cover a month's training.
Sure, absolutely, man.
Great.
Everywhere will train you for $150 a month. Plenty of places will train cops for a lot less than that.
Yeah.
Now that's on their own dime. That's on their own time.
The problem is whenever we talk, and I'm on the National Law Enforcement Firearms Instructors Association. I've been a firearms instructor for cops for a long time. And it's like you have to just put little pieces of candy corn down on the ground to get them to go to training. They just don't want to do it. I say they, using the pejorative, a lot of cops. The majority of cops, you simply can't get them to train. They just don't take it serious enough. They don't care enough about it. And they don't get the training.
I will say as a firearms instructor, when we have cops who pay to come to our classes, they're the best. They're serious. They're engaged. They're not egotistical. The cops who are on their own dime are serious about getting better. They're amazing.
And they're 1%.
When I have done department-sponsored training, those cops who show up is a very mixed bag. And the ones who were like, what am I doing here? I was like, wait a minute, you're getting paid to be here and shooting somebody else's ammo and you're copying the attitude? Yeah. Like, I'm here for you, man. And if you don't got nothing to learn, you can go find something else to do with your day. I totally get it. Now, there's going to be some who show up and go, they'll look at you a little funny. Wait a minute, you're not a cop. What do you got to know? Right. I have high enough profile now that they're like, you're that idiot we've listened to several times on YouTube. Do you know how to shoot? And then I demo a few things. Oh, okay, you know how to shoot, so I'll maybe listen to you a little bit. Fine. Sorry, everybody. I've smoked my lungs on my run this morning. But if you know how to fight, you don't have to shoot that guy. Right. That's the bottom line. If you know how to fight.
In this video, that's absolutely true. If this guy knew how to fight, that guy would still be alive.
If you've got 6 months of jiu-jitsu, 6 months of grappling, even if it's not jiu-jitsu, right? You want to take sambo, you want to take catch wrestling, you want to take, I don't care what you want to call it, all right? It's judo, right?
Krav Maga, just some hand skills, right?
Sure, yeah. Some hand skills, like that's fine, right? Is the ability to grapple and control somebody is such a useful tool. Because again, if this cop gets on the ground with this guy, gets on top of him, now I've got his arms under control, and I go, hey, I'm wrestling with a suspect. I need help code 3. And I'm in a fist fight. I need help code 3. Then that milkshake will bring the boys to the yard in a couple minutes. Listen, as a white belt in jiu-jitsu out on the street, I can control almost anybody for a couple of minutes on the ground. Not anybody. Don't hear me say that. I'm not. If you're a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, you're gonna whoop my buttons, and submit me 4 times. But then you and I are probably not having a fight on the street. Right. But the average idiot on the street, I can hold down and keep down for 3-4 minutes without getting hurt. And that's the kind of thing that goes there. And the other part of that I've done this in comments many times on the big channel, is I said, listen, here's my big challenge here. At the moment the officer fired, can you articulate to me an objective, reasonable threat of death or great bodily injury to the officer? Well, what I hear back is, well, if he attacks the officer, he might take the officer's gun. Okay, now you're speculating. Okay, so you're speculating what could happen in the future, not what is happening right now. And if I can't use deadly force based on speculation. It has to be, this is happening right now. Well, I had a gun out. He started running my way. I was pretty sure he was going to take it from me. Oh, okay. Why'd you have a gun out to begin with? Did you need to have a gun out to begin with? You're the one that brought the gun out. Maybe you can. And like I said, I don't think this officer's going to get charged.
It kind of gets back to what I said. Make sure when you say no that there's a really good reason to say no. I mean, the battle lines were drawn, and now I have to stay until this opera is over, right? And I don't know that I want to really see this opera. So, maybe just let the guy wander until backup gets there. I mean, if you try grappling with him unsuccessfully, and you break contact, instead of going to the taser, just back off. The guy's not attacking anybody. So, again, the gift of hindsight. I wasn't there. I didn't observe this guy up close. But to me, be careful what you say no. It seems like a lot of cops come into a situation, and by God, you're going to do what I say, and that's how. You're saying no.
Well, those cops are trained, right? They're trained to take control of the situation. I'm going to get somebody into custody. This clearly took like 4 hours for them to send a cop here. So my guess is they're understaffed.
Exactly. That's what
and everybody's on a call. So I can't call for, if I call 3 other people, they're on calls right now.
Right.
But I do think after that first Donnybrook, and he kind of runs off, cool, I'm going the other way because I'm not a fighter. Hey, man, I need some more bodies here. And we've seen several of these. We had one out of Florida, the guy that was standing in the front yard and, had a big brouhaha, ended up getting shot. These guys can't fight, man. And I'm like, look, if you need to back up, that 3 of you ain't enough to take this guy on, and we need 8 of us, back up and wait. Slow your roll. You don't have to push, right? There are times you have to push, but he wasn't a threat to anybody else in the moment.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to wait. I need some help. No, I really need help. You guys, please break off what you're doing right now if it's not emergent and get me 3 guys here because this guy's slippery like a pool noodle and I need to get him into custody. So anyway, I get it why people get frustrated. I love being called a bootlicking cop hater.
Well, I guess the thing I would want to emphasize, and I've known John for a long time, and I think I know him pretty well. He's not that. He'll never be that. But what he is he tells the truth. And when he sees something, he's going to tell it. But he's going to look at both sides. He's going to give you his honest opinion, which is one of the reasons I love this guy. And I bet it's one of the reasons you're watching this. So if that means that we are going to critique a cop the same way we're going to critique a civilian, I say thank goodness.
Yeah.
That's what you should be doing, and people need to do that. And that doesn't make you a cop hater any more than it makes you a citizen hater if you say the guy in Florida was an idiot with his gun. So, and nobody's saying this cop was an idiot. This is a tough situation.
It's tough.
And I'm sure this cop is probably going to have nightmares about this the rest of his life. Sad to us. Imagine how sad it is to him. But again, what we're trying to do is learn from other people's mistakes so that people watching this video don't make those mistakes in the future. So to do that, we got to be fair-handed and honest about both sides, I think. And I think he does a wonderful job of that.
And final thing I'll bring out about this is that, this was brought to me and really confronted. I got confronted by my best friend, Neil, who is our chief marketing officer at Active Self-Protection. You see him on the big channel. You see him here on Extra. And Neil, he's like, look, John, I feel like you are apologizing for bad behavior of law enforcement too often. You're apologizing too often. You are allowing them to get away. He goes, these videos that you make are used in law enforcement academies around the country. And why are we not training them to be excellent?
Right.
Why are we not expecting them to do good? If we're going to use them as training, if our primary mission in making them is cops and roll call, rather than telling citizens how great cops are, but to cops and roll call to get better, then you got to call them to excellence.
You got to be honest about it. Yeah.
And I thought about that for a little while, and I was like, he's 100% right.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
100%
That's right.
And so I got to say, hey, officers, to this high standard, this is where you need to be. Not here's the bare bones minimum.
I passed my qual.
Yeah.
I hear that and I want to scream.
No.
It's like,
to the standard of excellence. And this one didn't meet the standard of excellence. So, hey, man, I really appreciate the discussion.
Always, you bet. And again, this guy's got family out there. Sorry this happened. It's a horrible to watch. Yeah.